Hello there everyone, and welcome back to the channel today. I'm coming to you from a lovely Friday morning and looking forward to finishing up the week strong and bringing you a video today where we're going to chat about understanding that you need to set boundaries and then placing them. I am including this video as a part of my series to help those of us in our 40s find our freedom and our passion, and nothing perhaps as strongly as boundaries has come into play for me. So I thought that I would research some basic practices that were in alignment with what I've been able to do, and then share some examples with you so that you can become conscious and aware of your own need to set boundaries and then successfully place them. I think that one of the key components of setting boundaries is that a lot of times the people, including myself, this was very true for me, that need to place boundaries aren't even aware that that is something that is needed, because we're just so unconscious. We're so stuck in our old ways of thinking and our old ways of interacting with people that we don't even realize, like, oh my gosh, I can respond to this situation in a different way. But once you are able to realize, awaken, and become conscious to the fact that boundaries are needed to protect you and actually place them, your whole world changes. My whole world is changing because of putting into practice some of these things that I'm going to share with you today. And I just really hope that it resonates with some of you, maybe in an untraditional way, as a part of shared experience instead of necessarily lesson teaching. So I like teaching, but I also like to convey messaging through storytelling. So let's see if we can have a little bit of fun with this today and empower ourselves to place those boundaries. Come along with me, let's get started. The tool that I'm going to use with you today is one that I found on the Gottman Institute website. They are known for their psychological and relational teachings and how to navigate relationships. It's a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Gottman, and they are truly experts. And they have a website, gottman.com, Gottman.com, and they posted this article that was actually an excerpt from the book, Stop People Pleasing and Find Your Power. And that was written by Hailey Magee, if I'm saying that correctly. One of the very first things to know, once you realize something isn't working for me, this relationship isn't working, this interaction isn't working, I am feeling abrasiveness when I'm interacting in certain ways, you're becoming conscious and aware of that. And what that might look like is perhaps reactionary on your part. And that's not fun to hear, because we don't really like to admit when we're the one reacting to a situation and we get out of control. But the truth of the matter, at least from my perspective, and maybe this feels the same for you, is that when I'm in a situation where I feel violated, I feel angry, I feel frustrated, I feel exhausted, I feel defeated, I feel defensive, and other negative or reactionary emotions or feelings like those, we don't really want to react on those, because then we're coming from a very unhealthy place. And we can't really control usually the stimulus, the person, or the situation that is causing that to us. But we do have control to set a boundary and change it for ourselves. And so when you're feeling angry, tired, frustrated, defeated, agitated, violated, and all of those things, take some time to reflect on that and then identify, okay, what can I do about this? So in the past, some of you may have tried requesting. The problem with requesting is that we are simply asking someone else to change their behavior. And that is coming from a very unempowered place, because we have zero control over what another person or entity is going to do in the world. However, the flip side of that is placing a boundary. When we request, we ask someone else or another entity to change their behavior. But when we set a boundary, we are making the decision to change our own behavior. And instead of that being in a place of no control and powerlessness, it's in a place of being very empowered in who we are and 100% in control. Some might say that we're not 100% because of divinity, God, the universe, but a lot that has to do with God and divinity is that humans have free will. And so if we make the choice to set a boundary, we're 100% in control of placing that boundary and executing it. So let's move from requesting what we'd like and trying to nitpick and control other people to changing the way they would like to be, even though I love that. I used to be obsessed with that, and that's how I tried to navigate the world, and it does not work. Let's move from requesting or demanding even that other people change or other entities change and move to a place of setting a boundary and changing our own behavior and saying, that's okay, you can do this thing that agitates me, but I'm not going to participate anymore, or I'm not going to allow that to continue in order to protect myself. So I'm going to cover 5 areas of boundary setting. The first of which is the short and sweet method. If someone asks you to do something, or if someone starts interfacing in a way that creates those reactions that we were talking about a moment ago, keep it short and sweet. No. No, thank you. Not right now. Maybe another time. That doesn't work for me today. Any of those responses are short and sweet, and they convey to the person or entity that you're involved with that you're not going to participate right now. End of story. We've all heard no is no, right? So that's a very easy way to say, you know what, energetically, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not going to do that. Next, we move on to making an I statement pertaining to how you're feeling in a circumstance and then following it up with what you need. What this might look like is stating to the person or entity that is creating the need for a boundary, when you blank, I feel blank, because blank, I need blank. So what that might look like, and I'll share an example for me, is I'll make it a really short and simple one based on my husband in the dishwasher. It might be a little silly, but let's go. When you don't place your dishes in the dishwasher, I feel disregarded because I work so hard to maintain the house. I really need for you to make sure that when you have a meal, you place your dishes in the dishwasher, please. Thank you. So in that way, you're conveying the pain point that you're having, that conscious reaction that you're having, what you're feeling, the reason that you're feeling that way, so that the other person can try to understand if they'd like to, and then what you need, which is basically the boundary. I need for this to change so that I can be and feel okay. Next, we have a radical transparency approach. And in the article and book that I'm sharing this from, it's designated that this technique is likely best suited for people that you have a close relationship with, that you trust, because it involves a certain amount of vulnerability in terms of sharing honestly how you feel and your reasons for placing the boundary. So this might have 4 components. First, you might say, this is hard to say, or what I'm saying may hurt a little bit. But number 2, honesty is the best policy for both of us. And I'm going to express myself honestly to you now, and I encourage you to do the same. 3, because I must take care of myself. And again, I would also encourage you to take care of yourself as well. What's good for me is good for you. And then lastly, stating the boundary. So I can't, or I won't, or this is the way I need things to be in the future. Boom, boundary placed. This can be, like I said, a little bit more in-depth conversation for people that we might be in a very close relationship with. I have started to have some more conversations with my loved ones in this way, and even though the conversations are difficult to have, afterwards, I do generally feel that feeling of being really empowered. And so it also gives me a sense of peace and calm. Like, I've put out in the world how I'm really feeling about something instead of keeping it to myself and trying to navigate in a false way. And so it feels really good. I kind of have that moment of like, oh, I'm being grown up, Jen. I'm being mature today. And I've definitely been on a journey myself of maturing. A little bit of a late bloomer given some of my past, but that's just the trajectory I'm on. And if you're on that trajectory too, and you're thinking, well, I'm a grown woman or man, and I should have this stuff figured out now, or I do have this stuff figured out now, but maybe you don't quite, it's okay. We're all on our own journey, and we all get to various benchmarks at the time that we're supposed to. I actually was having a thought of doubt before I set up to film this video today, where I was like, there are probably 25 or 28-year-olds that already have this figured out. I feel like sometimes the younger generations are getting wiser faster than we did, because they're starting to see some of the mysteries in the world and the illusions maybe my generation was not able to see as easily. But that's okay. I never know if one of you out there is 25 or 28 and you do have it figured out, but I'm able to help you look at it through a different lens. Or maybe you haven't figured it out yet, and you're going to yourself, oh my gosh, I get angry all the time when yada, yada, yada. And so I need to try implementing some of this because I'll be healthier and happier for it. And the ultimate reality is that when we are happier and healthier on an individual level, that reflects out into the world. And Lord knows everything is crazy right now, but we have very little control over that, right? We can't request that the world be less crazy, but we can set a boundary and change our behavior of what we watch and what we listen to and what we interact with, and try to be the best person we can be. And then that is going to shine a light out into the world. And even if it only touches a couple people, or for instance, for me, it's touching you folks out there in my audience, I am trying to share that with you so we can all grow and heal and have healthy boundaries and move forward in the world in a way that will set it on a great trajectory for all of us. Sometimes you might be compelled to speak up, as this article mentions, and the need generally comes from just stating your thoughts or beliefs or positions on a certain topic so that you are understood by a person or a group or an entity. And this is okay. The caveat with that is that we want to state it from a place of just wanting our beliefs to be known, not in a way that is trying to avoid conflict, people please, or convince people that our way, the way that we see the world, is the only right way, that our truth is the only right truth. So remember, through this boundary setting process, that speaking up and sharing your beliefs is great. And especially with people that are important to you in your life, you want them to understand that. But what you believe, just like what I believe, is not the end all be all in the world. There are many different perspectives and experiences, and we are trying to move toward a place of tolerance and understanding and accepting that that's okay. To not be okay with that and not accept that is a really miserable existence, because we're always going to be in that headbutting, push and pull, tug of war space. And boundary setting is very much about not pulling on the rope in the tug of war, but dropping the rope instead and saying, yep, I'm just not going to play this game anymore. I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe, and that's all okay. Oh my gosh, things are getting very kumbaya today. Let's move on to the last part of this boundary setting topic, probably one of my most favorite ones for recently, and that is disengaging as boundary setting. So when I read this part of the article, I was like, ooh, that's me. That's what I've been doing lately. And it's really interesting because sometimes disengaging is avoiding conflict, which is a reverse way of people pleasing, right? I'm not going to speak up because I don't want that person to be mad at me, or I'm going to not attend that meeting or give my feedback because I don't have enough self-worth or confidence and I feel like people won't like my idea. It's not that kind of disengaging. This kind of disengaging is placing a boundary, not avoiding conflict. So it's saying, I see this circumstance that I'm involved in. I can identify it through those reactions that I'm having, anger, frustration, feeling defeated, that it's not healthy for me. Therefore, I'm going to remove myself and disengage from the conversation, the sphere of interaction, the circumstances. And as somebody who used to be a chronic people pleaser, chronic avoider of conflict, I'm talking like debilitatingly so, I have started doing some of this disengagement, namely with my employment, and I feel so much better about it. I am able to calmly and collectively be like, you know what? I can't participate in that project right now because I have these other priorities. and I set a boundary. And it may be spoken or unspoken, but just taking that step back, disengaging from the things that are overwhelming, pushing me too far beyond reasonability, and making sure that I have time and space for the things that are important within that sphere has been life-changing. The disengagement was also really healthy for me with a family relationship that I had, where I did not realize for a very long time, and I was in a sphere of people pleasing where I felt like if I interacted with this person, it would make another person happy. And that was my goal. I really wanted to be able to interact with one person, but being in the presence of this other person was a necessity and a byproduct. And so I thought, well, even though that other person creates some conflict and some discomfort and some anger and all of those unpleasant emotions we talked about in the beginning of the video, I would still place myself in that environment because of my goal and what I wanted. And one day I finally woke up and realized that not only am I putting myself through a really unpleasant situation, it actually was quite an emotionally abusive situation, and I did not need to be in that anymore. And as I matured through my healing, I almost couldn't believe that I did that. But we've had some videos before about talking about if you don't know, then you don't know. And there's plenty that all of us do not even know, can't even fathom, haven't gotten there yet, may never come to know. So if I didn't know, I didn't know. I couldn't see the forest for the trees because I was so focused on trying to make that situation work. Again, I was trying to request and control outside of me instead of setting a boundary and changing my behavior. And eventually, I disengaged from that situation, and the amount of peace and serenity that I found, I cannot even tell you. And after a short time passed, I found that I was able to engage again with that individual, and things went better. You could say it's because I changed and my perception of it changed. You could say that perhaps the other party changed because they realized, like, oh my gosh, I was maybe mistreating this person and I need to act a little bit more respectful and kind in my interactions. Or maybe it was a little bit of both. But in that circumstance, placing that boundary of disengagement absolutely protected me and my heart, and it was the best possible thing. So I hope that sharing those couple of examples of boundary setting through disengagement were helpful for you. I certainly have found it helpful, and I'm definitely saying the short and sweet no's a little bit more frequently as I'm aging at the wonderful age of 43. Boundaries are so powerful. I'd love to hear what boundaries you have set successfully down in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. I'd love to hear tactics that you've used, things that have worked, things that haven't. And then also feel free to reference that article on Gottman.com with that excerpt from Hailey Magee's book. It was short, sweet, easy to read, gave perfect examples. And I wanted to share it with you today because it resonated with me. And I'm hoping that it will resonate with some of you who are trying to navigate being stronger and safer in the world. If you haven't already, give this video a like. Definitely subscribe to the channel as we continue on to our next video series, which I'm going to craft up this weekend and bring you kind of a new flavor of content as we all continue to learn and grow together and find our freedom. Life is beautiful. It's going to be an excellent day. Thank you so much for coming. Ciao for now.